Господине Нобило, господине Лика, добре дојдовте во нашата програма. 10 години слават вашите земји до година од членството во НАТО. Една декада е доволно време за проценка и анализа на придобивките. Од тука моето прво прашање е и кои се придобивките од како Хрватска и Албанија стана земји членки на Алијансата?
Thank you. It looks like long ago, of course, Albania and Croatia entering NATO. We are not anymore the youngest. It's now the Montenegro, and you will be next. So we feel at home at NATO, and we have seen how the country had image and how the overall perception of Croatia had changed in those 10 years. Due also to our entry into European Union, but it is always the first move that you, with most countries, that you first enter NATO, send messages of stability and encourage reforms. It is very important that we are within NATO because in current threats that are surrounding us in the region and beyond, it is very important to belong to the strongest alliance in the history of mankind.
Mr. Lika?
From what my colleague said, I would add that, of course, having the chance of being a member of this great alliance, it's a privilege first, but of course it's a duty. As such, there are quite a few things that you have to take care of, and after that 10 years, we do not feel that young now in this alliance, but still, it's a challenge, but it's a privilege on the other side, and of course, give you the security, give you I would say the profile of a stabilized country, a country that produces stability, and that is much needed in our region. So overall, I would say that it's a great achievement of our countries being part of this great alliance.
Има некои негативни елементи и последици или како амбасадори не сакате или не можете да говорите за тоа?
I can hardly think of any negative consequences. It's good for our tourism because Croatia is perceived as a stable country, NATO EU country. So we have unprecedented growth of visitors. It's kind of discovering Croatia all over again by Europeans. Our investment climate has changed. Even in public opinion, which was in our referendum highly supporting, among those who were suspicious that we will have NATO or American military bases that would spoil our tourism, it was also proved to be nonsense. And I believe if you have a referendum in Croatia, what they think about NATO today, it would be even bigger support than we had at the beginning.
Но вие имавте некаде само 50% поддршка, порасна на 51% кога Косово стана независна држава.
You know, we were a country recovering from war. We won that war, actually, and for us, we were a bit disappointed because initially we were enthusiastic that Europe, that NATO would intervene to prevent the bloodshed in the Balkans. And we were a bit disappointed that the responses were rather weak, humanitarian, observing, etc. But essentially, we learned that we have to liberate the country ourselves. So there was a kind of this a feeling that we were betrayed initially by Europe, and later the America took the lead in peace negotiations, and we were the first on the ground that had changed the military balance from which the peace was possible. That was then, but today, perception of EU and NATO in Croatia is good, and so will be one day in Macedonia as well.
Mr. Lika?
Well, in our case, it's a little different. I would say that we already, or let's say we always were very pro Euro-Atlantic alliances, and since the beginning of, let's say, the new era after 1990s. So we have always aimed to be part of those both great organizations. So answering your question, of course, there have been difficulties. It was quite a harmful, I would say, in quotas reform, but it very much needed to be done. And of course, that reflected on the other side, on the economical side, because like Mario rightly mentioned, it produces more security for investors. And I would say that as a newcomers on, let's say, tourism industry, we have made great progress in the last 10 years, and part of it, I think, part of that success, I would say, is that we are NATO members. So we produce security when it comes to for tourism, for foreign visitors coming and seeing our country.
За Македонија овие 10 години од Букурешт не се време за добро сеќавање, но еве сепак ја имаме поканата за почеток на преговорите, па од тука според вашето искуство што е она што следува, кои се следните чекори од добивањето на поканата до полноправното членство?
Well, maybe first let me just say that we're not the only country that was slowed down on this path. Your most drastic example that you had been stalemate since Bucharest and in overall EU negotiations, well, due to the internal crisis, but also regional situation, the name issue, etc. We were also slowed down in our European path by different issue, the Gotovina case, which was later clarified, and then Slovenian referendum on Croatia, and then the border issue. So we all have to swallow certain frogs, as we say it, down the path, but it's worth it. Again, when I look back, it is very important to know that we have been a country which showed the resilience, and you should not be afraid what the invitation means. Of course, we want this bilateral agreement with Greece to be fulfilled, which means that you have to have a referendum, but we all had a referendum in our countries on NATO as well. And also you have to change the constitution on name issue, which is probably the trickiest part. But again, everything else which would be building this decision to extend the invitation to Macedonia is a normal procedure, because between the invitation you have anyway a process of ratification in all the parliaments of member countries, in which you use that time to do some reforms necessary for your armed forces to be more interoperative with other NATO armies, to have more democratic control of the parliament over security forces. All those issues which are a normal treatment while you are in the process of ratification until that process is finished, and you have several tasks which are not a political conditionality anymore. It's more of a technical, organic nature of the reforms that you have to take. But comparing them with the EU, it is nothing to compare with the difficulties you are going to face in much deeper reforms.
Но што се случува во тие преговори? Дали се тоа преговори кои што се фокусирани повеќе на политичките или на воените аспекти или и на двете?
Well, I think that the international community would focus bilaterally and multilaterally mainly after the invitation to see by the end of the year all those parts of the agreement to Greece being successfully carried out, meaning the referendum and more important change of the constitution. Because in that period, somebody can has some hybrid attacks on Macedonia, insert events which could destabilize the country to change the course of history. And we would be focusing to help Macedonia to go through this process democratically and with stability, so that your public opinion is prepared for the eventuality which we have seen in Montenegro. That's one issue. And the rest would be a kind of assessment of NATO experts with your experts on, for example, how you are capable to protect the NATO data once you enter, and what kind of assistance you need to prepare yourself for the proper protection of the flow of documents between NATO and your capital. This kind of organic assessments and task that your mainly security forces have to adapt to.
Well, in my perception first is that you are not that newcomer in this alliance. Don't forget that you are part of international, contribution in RMS, which is RSM, which is resolute support in Afghanistan, and you have provided troops, you have provided So a lot of support in NATO.
And we have record in terms of member action plan.
Exactly. So as such, you are kind of like, let's say, alienated, let's say, friend and associate of NATO. So to answer your question, of course, the biggest barrier that you had to go through, and for that I would commend your political class with great, I would say, courage that they showed to compromise on what was the most crucial part, the part of name, and for that was, everybody was very happy on how you dealt with that. So the second part, or the part of political process, remains on your hands now, because you have to go through, like Mario said, go to the referendum, go to the constitutional changes, but things that are somehow you are prepared to do that. We have seen it, and we are very confident that the process will go smooth. On the other side, on political and military, let's say in the military and technical side, you have not to be worried about, because it is a huge organization that will take care of every single step that you, as a country, new country or new member in the future, you will be. They will take care of, or we will take care of, performing the way that it is supposed to. There are quite a few steps or sets of conditions that have to be fulfilled. But like I said, you are new. You are not new on it. You already have made a great progress on reforming your armed forces and, generally speaking, your political system on that.
И пред да продолжиме со разговорот, да ги погледнеме двете специјални репортажи кои што ги имаме од Црна Гора, од Подгорица и од Тирана, од Албанија, за искуствата на двете земји во процесот на пристапување кон НАТО, односно придобивките или негативните страни од членството во Алијансата.
Predajom pristupnog protokola NATO u američkom State Departmentu, Crna Gora je 5. juna 2017. izvanično postala 29. članica Sjevernoatlantske alijanse. 2 dana kasnije ispred sjedišta NATO-a u Briselu zavijorila se i crnogorska zastava. Ministar odbrane, sumirajući benefite Crne Gore od jednogodišnjeg članstva u alijansi, kaže da su oni već vidljivi na političkom i ekonomskom planu. Korist na političkom planu dijeli u 2 nivoa.
Prva je što je politička situacija u Crnoj Gori mnogo relaksiranija nego što je bila. Prije samog učlanjenja 2 kruga predsjednički i lokalni izbori koji su bili u prethodnih nekoliko mjeseci daju nam potvrdu za to da je kompletna predizborna kampanja bila mnogo relaksiranija nego 2016. godine i to je svakako doprinos stabilnosti i miru ne samo Crne Gore, već čitavog regiona. Ono drugo, a politike se tiče, jeste svakako što Crna Gora ne mora više da vodi računa o bezbjednosti svojih granica.
Višestruki su, tvrdi ministar odbrane, i benefiti države na ekonomskom planu.
Mi smo odmah nakon učlanjenja u NATO imali rekordnu turističku sezonu. Priliv stranih direktnih investicija iz zemalja koje su članice NATO-a ili su partnerske zemlje NATO-a značajno povećao. Priliv turista iz tih zemalja se značajno povećao. 160 crnogorskih kompanija je kodifikovalo svoje proizvode da može da ih prodaje na tržištu 29 zemalja NATO.
Iz privrednog sektora u prvom redu bilježe rast investicija.
Imamo primjer da je u 2017. godini strane direktne investicije veće za 30% u odnosu na prethodnu godinu. Broj preduzeća koje osnivaju u Crnoj Gori strani državljani je značajno povećan. Samo jedan primjer da državljani Turske u periodu posljednjih 7 godina su registrovali više od 1000 preduzeća u Crnoj Gori.
Ističu da su vidljivi pomaci i u drugim oblastima.
Rast broja turista i broja noćenja u prošloj godini koji se kreće 17, odnosno 9% kad su u pitanju noćenja, također je jednim dijelom i rezultat članstva u NATO. rast u sektoru građevinarstva i saobraćaja također možemo pripisati dobrim dijelom članstvu u NATO i ukupni rast crnogorske ekonomije u prošloj godini koji je iznosio 4,4% i koji je Crnu Goru svrstao među 5 zemalja u Evropi po rastu ekonomije, pokazuje već te benefite od članstva.
Tokom procesa pristupanja Crne Gore NATO-u mnogo se pričalo o tome kakve je obaveze čekaju kada postane članica. Posebnu pažnju izazvalo je pitanje izdvajanja novca za odbranu i obaveza donesena na samitu NATO-a u Velsu, da to do 2024. godine bude 2% BDP-a. U ovom trenutku 2% crnogorskog BDP-a je 84 miliona eura. Vlasti uvjeravaju da će Crna Gora to ispoštovati, a godišnja članarina koja se sada uplaćuje u NATO budžet je 450.000 eura. Izazov tokom procesa pristupanja Crne Gore bila je i podrška građana članstvu. Sva istraživanja, čak i uoči samog pristupanja, pokazivala su da je javnost potpuno podijeljena. Crna Gora je na ovom putu imala i jakog protivnika na međunarodnoj sceni, Rusiju. Protivnici u Crnoj Gori zagovarali su da se odluka o članstvu donese na referendumu. Ona je ipak donesena u parlamentu glasovima vladajuće koalicije i opozicione socijaldemokratske partije. Tako je od ukupno 81 poslanika, njih 46 diglo ruku za pristupanje Crne Gore NATO-u. Na prvu godišnjicu članstva u NATO, ovaj vojni savez je prije mjesec preuzeo i brigu o vazdušnom prostoru Crne Gore. Inače, ukupan proces pristupanja Crne Gore trajao je 11 godina.
Qytetarëve shqiptarëve kudo që ndodhen, duhet të uroj gëzuar ditën e parë të NATO-s, ditën e mrekullisë së lirisë, ditën e dinjitetit ton kombëtar, ditën e të ardhmës son të sigurt.
Kjo është një mrekulli e lirisë, ishte slogani më i përfolur i kryeministrit asaj kohe Sali Berisha kur Shqipëria u bë anëtare e NATO-s në 2009. Më pak se një dekadë më parë. Gjatë kësaj periudhe, Shqipëria është kontributore simbolike në buxhetin e Aleancës Veriatlantike dhe është angazhuar që brenda vitit 2024, 2% e prodhimit të brendshëm bruto t'ia dedikojë fushës së mbrojtjes. Forcat e armatusura shqiptare ndërkohë numërojnë sot shumë misione dhe trupat angazhuara.
Që nga viti 2009, kur Shqipëria u bë anëtare me të drejta të plota të NATO-s, vendi ka ndërmarrë një sër reformash në fushën ushtarake dhe të sigurisë, si dhe në luftën kundër korrupsionit, krimit organizuar, reformave në administratën publike dhe promovimin e marrëdhënieve të fqinjësisë së mirë. Fushat e tjera ku NATO dhe Shqipëria kanë bashkëpunuar janë emergjenca civile, shkenca, mjedisi, por edhe diplomacia publike. Por në fakt, a ka marrë Shqipëria aq sa ç'duhet nga antarësimi në NATO apo i ka dhënë më shumë Aleancës Veriatlantike? A është ky një raport i drejtë apo i shtrenjtë?
Shqipëria gjatë viteve të antarësimit, që në momenti i antarësimit, ka nisur edhe e ka modernizuar ushtrinë, e ka bërë një ushtri të vogël sigurisht, por eficiente, duke hequr ato armatime të cilat kishin mbetur stok për një kohë të gjatë dhe duke u pajisur me armatime të reja, të cilat janë edhe të teknologjisë së fundit. Antarësimi në NATO është kryesisht i rëndësishëm për sa i përket faktit të investimeve të huaja, kryesisht për vendet vogla si Shqipëria, ku investimet e huaja ndonjëherë lidhen edhe me pasigurinë që disa kompani të mëdha kanë për të investuar në vend. Fakti që ti je një antar i NATO-s do të thotë që për ty bëhet më e lehtë për të pasur investimet huaja.
Në fakt, kur Shqipëria u pranua në NATO, kishte një pritshmëri shumë të lartë, për shkak se ne konsideronim si një ndryshim drastik nga pozita më parshme e Shqipërisë. Dhe pritshmëritë më mëdha ishin në aspektin ekonomik. Ne prisim që për shkak të nivelit të rrisë sigurisë të Shqipërisë do kishte më shumë investime të huaja, do kishte më shumë vëmendje të biznesit ndërkombëtar në raport me Shqipërinë. Për shkak të çështjeve të sigurisë janë zgjidhura në një kontekst më të madh. Dhe nëse ne referohemi viteve të eksperiencës së antar i NATO-s, ne nuk kemi arritur dot të rregjim investimet. Në momentin që ne hym NATO, ne jemi NATO. Dhe si tillë nuk përfitojmë nga operacionet ushtarake dhe ndihmës së trajnimit, por ne duhet të ofrojmë kontributet tona në misionet ndërkombëtare ose në angazhime tjera ndërkombëtare. Kapacitetet të cilat në kushtet e Shqipërisë janë shumë kufizuara për shkak të buxhetit dhe kufizimit që ne kemi në buxhet dhe për shkak nevojave dhe prioriteteve tjera ekonomike që ka Shqipëria.
Si një vend ku mbështetja e publikut për NATO është nga më të lartat, Shqipëria ka si objektiv që të jap kontributin e saj në transformimin e rajonit problematik dhe të brisht të Ballkanit Perëndimor në një zonë të stabilizuar. Autoritetet shqiptare kanë premtuar se do të vijojnë me reformat, modernizimin e forcave të armatosura dhe ofrimin e strategjive integruese të rajonit.
Се враќаме повторно во студиото. Господа амбасадори, слушнавме многу позитивни оценки од страна на црногорскиот министер за одбрана за економските придобивки на Црна Гора, но од друга страна оценките во Албанија се поделени. Па од тука моето прашање е дали постои тој јасен линк помеѓу стабилноста што ја носи НАТО и економските придобивки, особено од аспект на инвестициите, или сепак тоа зависи од економските перформанси на земјите поединечно?
It's both. I mean, but one is difficult without the other. If you don't have a domestic will to change and to progress, as we all do all the time, and if there are not international conditions of stability, you are not going to succeed. So both is necessary. I believe that we have been enjoying that gradual increase in stability, which have, for example, our interest rates drastically, because every country has to borrow, but then you borrow under, you reprogram your debt, you have much more favorable conditions. If you are perceived as a closed case, as a country which is NATO, which is not only having NATO guarantees in case of attack on your sovereign territory, but also it's about NATO values, which means stronger institution, democracy, engaged civil society, all that which we call it projecting stability in not only NATO new members, but also beyond in our surrounding areas from NATO. And this is the benefit which doesn't pay in first year, but once people don't perceive Macedonia as a country that has been blocked on its way and is kind of unfinished business, nobody really invests in the long term. They are waiting for the political stability within the country which you have now. But anything can be questioned if there is no outer stability on your borders and in the region. So I perceive this future entry of Macedonia as narrowing the area of instability in the Balkans, where we will have 4 countries. If you include Slovenia, it will be 5 on the Adriatic region in the future. And what is left is, of course, one day Bosnia and Kosovo, while Serbia will probably decide to be neutral, but still a strong partner to NATO. So it is in everybody's interest, in Croatia as much as in Macedonia, that this area of stability is increased in the Balkans.
Слушнавме дека во Албанија мислењата се поделени, односно дека и натаму преовладува, дел сметаат дека е направено доволно, други дека земјата не ги искористила сите можности, пред се од економски аспект. Кој е вашиот коментар?
First of all, being member of NATO, it is a precondition to have a good, good condition to develop your international relations, especially in an economical side. And on the other side, that is a strategic moment. It's very important. So, of course, it's quite normal. You see, even in Western Europe, in the most developed country of Europe, they always have claims about that that could be better, could be do better, and I'm pretty sure that it is the case for our country. But on the other side, we couldn't attract, let's say, strategic investments if we were not a member of NATO. And I would give you just an example, TAP project, TAP, Trans-Adriatic Pipeline. It's strategic investment. It is a multinational investment as such, as project, I would say, and as such, if you do not provide necessary security of having this kind of big project, of course, we would not have been candidate to take that one. And of course, there's a lot to be done. We're confident that even if we tomorrow will be member of EU, that won't be, let's say, economical miracle, but it will have preconditions to really develop in the right way. So, of course, it's normal that people are keen to see faster development. And on this regard, I would say that the process of, that reform, a great reform, I would say, of justice system in my country, it's that kind of strategic precondition to have further development, further stability, and democratic rules in my country.
What is the cost of NATO membership, and what is the economic benefit, and can those two things be compared on such a simple way?
No, of course not. And as Visha said, giving you a concrete example, it's a perception of the country that brings in investment and that opens your economy and helps reform institutions which we inherited from former Yugoslav or communist times. But essentially, it is very important to note here that we are actually not paying much. I mean, you are not contributing to a budget. Maybe your contribution would be, my guess would be around €1 million for the regular functioning of the international staff here. The expense usually comes with operation. If you have 100 or 50 or 10 or 1 person somewhere in the mission, the cost will be yours, but it's your sovereign decision when and how you are contributing to other operations that we have. So essentially, the benefits which are indirect and the money that you invest directly cannot be compared, because it's compared to the EU membership quite a different scale. In EU, you have to pay and strive then to extract more than you pay, and it will take a couple of years as you enter before you reach that level. But this is a rather easy entry. Your financial burden would not be high, and the rest would be your contribution to overall activities according to your political interests, to your ability, financial and the others, and your interest to become integral part of NATO defense in interoperability, to train together, to learn more, to be more capable, to specialize, to have your niche within NATO. This is a second level, so to say.
I will put it a little differently. First of all, of course, when you join this kind of, or let's say you achieve something, it has its own cost. But compared with what you benefit of it, it's very, very, I would say, a very small part of it. Second is that normally in today's development of international policy and threats that Mario mentioned before, it's quite normal that even if you are not a member of NATO, you have to invest on your defense. No doubt about that. But being part of this great alliance, that it's, I would say, it's smoother in somehow in one way, because you invest for your own defense, but in a SOAS, or let's say, on that cutter of NATO. So it depends from the point of view, but no doubt that it is beneficial for the well-being of the country that is candidate, or it will be tomorrow member of the country, of this great alliance. On the other side, gives you a great opportunity to really modernize, to make it a state-of-art army, for armed forces that, how to call it, abide in all the rules of the democratic societies, and that strengthen the defense of your country in the quarter of defense of NATO itself.
Дали третото проширување кога Албанија и Хрватска станаа членки на НАТО ја исполни својата цел, и ако вашиот одговор е да, тогаш зошто се уште зборуваме за безбедносни ризици во регионот и од каде тие доаѓаат?
Well, let me just remind you that only a quarter century ago there was war waging all over Croatia and Bosnia, and now not only that Croatia is a member and has NATO guarantees for its security, but also we have programs of cooperation with Serbia and with other partners in the Western Balkans. So no doubt that we have, by extending now membership also to Montenegro, we have Adriatic as most stable inner sea of NATO, more stable than you have in the Black Sea or in the Baltic due to the Russian component there. So we can prosper and profit from that stability which we enjoy in the Adriatic. And also we are allies. I mean, we have this format of A5. And by the way, the American Minister of Defense is going to show up after summit in Zagreb, when we are going to have this A5 meeting to support, among other things, and most important of all, Macedonia in its efforts to join. Having a meeting of A5 in Zagreb under the Montenegrin presidency. And then we already have a scheme of cooperation of the Adriatic Three, which are allies on the Adriatic. And this is very important in terms of naval security, education, all that, but bilateral cooperation as well. And we believe that naturally the maritime country, Macedonia, would belong to this group, and we can jointly participate in international operations. We can jointly address some of the security concerns, the air cover, what kind of specialization in our joint defense we have regional. There are many opportunities that would develop along the road.
Mr. Lika, is there?
I would add something on that. You mentioned the threats that we face in our region. Of course, we know that we had an experience, I would say, very interesting experience, let's put it this way. Terrorism, jihadism. Of course, being part of NATO, it is the right place to be, in fact, taking account that how much interest has been put on that and how much effort has been put to defeat Daesh and ISIS, and what that or ISIS. And what we have seen that in the last few years, and the cooperation between NATO members and NATO allies in the region, that made a big difference on how to defeat jointly, and the best place to work jointly is NATO, ISIS, for example. But not only that. Of course, illegal migration is another threat that poses our area. I mean, our area is faced off, and in a quarter of NATO, it's always better and easier to deal with these kind of threats that in one way or another way affect our area.
Во овој контекст, што членството на Македонија во НАТО ќе значи за регионалната стабилност?
Very much. First of all, because we will be by now 4 countries, including Slovenia, and not excluding Greece, but let's say 4 countries that are member of NATO when you will join our, which means that we will be a stronghold of NATO presence in the Western Balkans, a region that has been unfortunately consuming security less than 2 decades ago, but today it is producing security. And I would say that one of the reasons why it's happened is just because most of these countries are part of NATO. So no doubt that being a NATO member is of a huge benefit for the security of our countries, but also for security of our region, where I include normally Bosnia, Herzegovina, and Kosovo.
Your geopolitical position is so sensitive that having soon Macedonia within NATO would hugely contribute to the stability of the region. We are now in a situation when our threats do not come from our neighbors anymore, nor from within. But it would, however, the changing of status would strengthen your political stability and would secure your borders, so it would bring more cooperation. Our threats, as we should just explain, are outside of region, and they are mainly hybrid, not necessarily threat of foreign invasion. This is not logical. But those threats cannot be ignored because they can destabilize, especially those countries that are multi-ethnical, that are still fragile in a way like Bosnia, for example, or in institution building process like Kosovo, etc. And it would strengthen the inner stability, I'm pretty sure, within your country as well. So at the end, let me say that there is a strong responsibility for a historic moment, not only for your government, which is performing very well, but also for the opposition, not to miss that opportunity.
Македонија е сега во една специфична состојба, бидејќи сето ова зависи од исходот на референдумот, решавањето на прашањето за името, па од тука која е вашата порака, имајќи го предвид сиот тој контекст во оваа фаза од пристапувањето на Македонија, односно напорите на Македонија за приклучување кон НАТО?
As I already said, I mean, it is a responsibility of the entire political spectrum, all the institutions and public opinion to come to the referendum, to express their mind, but also to the parliament to grab this historic opportunity which this invitation brings. And when Macedonia enters NATO, it would be even easier for you to start EU negotiation when genuine reforms and genuine investment and integration of Macedonia into Euro-Atlantic world begins. This is also for case for Albania as well. So this is a first but most important and necessary step for you to proceed and be part of a prosperous family.
I would just give you an example to show what the benefit of Macedonia will be being part of EU, and that's the case of Montenegro. Polls were showing before Montenegro was joining NATO that support for NATO was less than 50%, as far as I remember. But after a few years, I mean one and a half year after accession to NATO, the support for NATO accession has been, or NATO membership has been grown significantly. That means that the population feels the benefit of being part of this great alliance. I'm pretty sure that that's the case of Macedonia. So you guys just keep running on what you're doing. I'm pretty sure that and confident that these political processes and constitutional process will go smooth. You have full support of NATO and Secretary General, and like I said before, and Mario mentioned better than me, that the benefit will be visible. I mean, benefit will be visible in terms of statehood, in terms of inner stability of the country, very much needed for the further development and for the accession to the other great alliance or great organization that is EU.
Ваши екселенции, според вашите биографии, своевремено сте биле научници, еве да кажам. Меѓутоа, има многу научници кои што утврдиле дека не е потребно да се биде НАТО членка за да се биде модерна демократија, дека многу НАТО членки биле демократски земји пред да станат членки на НАТО, но и тоа дека има многу демократии во Европа кои немаат намера да се приклучат кон алијансата, а се меѓу другото и економски развиени. Па еве, ако се вратите во времето назад, на првиот час на студенти од прва година, на прашањето зошто НАТО, би им одговориле што?
Well, it's a different NATO today than it was when it was found 70 years ago. It was in that time only the Cold War instrument. In the meantime, the challenges has changed. Partly it is again the Cold War with Russia, unfortunately, but it's also terrorism, hybrid migrations, wars that are going on in our vicinity, etc., which requires a different, modernized, ever-evolving NATO, and it's good to be part of that process. Otherwise, you are not a subject, but the object of all those changes. Yes, there are democracies in Europe who are not member of NATO. This is their neutral tradition or their geopolitical destiny. It is very difficult for Sweden and Finland, having Russians next door, to opt for NATO membership. But they are so integrated partners that we treat them almost as such. And of course, these are stable societies which have been developing democracies for centuries. They don't need this NATO push. We are countries in transition, so we are countries that had conflict within or regional, and we are post-conflict countries that need this support. And above all, our historic destiny that we have always lived on the edge of the worlds where they meet and when geopolitical interests overlap. So we have to be taken care of by a wider collective security because all of us are too small to take care of our own security on our own. So this is the message as a scholar to you. There are different models, there are options, of course. You can stay neutral, as Serbia would be for a while or maybe forever, but it doesn't mean that this would somehow not help you to be part of those NATO values, NATO processes, NATO security. It's good for the country. And out of Europe, there are other organizations, security organizations, which are trying in their regional context to repeat the NATO model on a small scale.
Mr. Lika.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for calling us scholars. And yes, one of my greatest part of my career, of course, is being a scholar. Of course, if I had to explain to my students of what the benefit or why we see it as a very important part of our democracy to be part of NATO, is first of all recalling the historical background of our region. It is important. It is important because the history has shown that our area, unfortunately, for this we're not that proud, have had many security issues, many interstate issues. And being part of this great alliance shores up in a dramatic way, I mean, for good, all those, let's say, historical legacy of instability in the region. So we do have our specifics that we are very, for us being member of that great alliance is very important. It's crucial sometimes. Of course, again, I mentioned before, being NATO member is prerequisite to have a good democratic country, to have a state of law and such. But it is it's our homework to make our country great, like other part of alliances. So it's a good chance. It's a good chance. It's a chance that have to be taken, like we did, and for you will be the same, to be part of that great alliance. Because if you read the values that this alliance protects, that will show you exactly what you mentioned before, why we should be part of it. Because it takes care of values that we inherit, human rights and rule of law. So all the let's say, the pillars of a democratic state, let's say Western state. It is for that reason that it's a privilege to be part of NATO.
Ви благодарам што вечерва бевте мои гости.
Good luck to Macedonia.
Thank you, and good luck to Macedonia too.
Thank you.